Hello and welcome back to the Lettered Classroom, everyone. I am so happy that you are here joining me this Sunday live. I just wanted to check to make sure my audio was working, guys. Who would have known that it came from me? Oh well. Hi, welcome back to the Lettered Classroom, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here. Tonight we're going to be doing something just a little bit different, and I'm very excited because we got a little bit of a new setup. Like, we've got new stuff happening. We've got a new computer. We're using a new program, which equals like stress all the time as we are learning to navigate all these different little systems that we have. But yeah, we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna have a little plan with me this evening. It's funny because I feel like back when I started YouTube really long time ago, I did quite a few plan with me's and they were really popular. People were really intrigued with the process of planning, which I totally understand why. It's really interesting to kind of get into the mind of other people and to see how they go about creating their lesson plans. And I think for everyone, this is going to be just a little bit different because if you are a newer teacher, I remember needing things a little bit more detailed. I remember needing to have things sometimes even scripted out to really make sure that I was hitting all of the points that I needed to hit. And then as I started just becoming more comfortable with understanding the curriculum, knowing who I was as a teacher, understanding how to scaffold curriculum properly, I didn't need as much detail in planning. So I think you're going to have to kind of take this and really adjust it to your needs. But I'm excited. Hi, guys. So it's weird because I'm going to be doing an iPad view in a little bit. And so I don't have my iPad to be able to see the chat. So I have to use my phone to look at the chat. So, hey guys, Lyle, I see you're in there. New computer will help. Absolutely. How's the video quality? Like, do you guys notice the difference between the video quality? Because there should be a pretty good difference. We should be able to stream at 1080p, which we were originally streaming at like 720, sometimes in the 400s. Like, who knew? But the new, Alexis says crisp. Thank you, Alexis. I love that word, crisp. Oh, such a good word. Big difference in quality. Unicorns, I'm so glad to see you. I feel like I have not seen you on this chat in way too long, girl. Way too long. I still really want to get together with you. We're going to have to chat and figure out a day. We really do. Okay. But it's so good to see unicorns back up in this chat. So I'm very excited. I'm hoping this all is going to work the way it's supposed to. Guys, I got to be totally honest. Like, this was the weekend of all of our tech issues. Like, we were having so many problems left and right. But we're here. We have made it. Quality's looking good. I'm assuming the sound is just even better, hopefully. Let's cross our fingers because we can't hear anything. Only you can. Oh, gosh, I know. It has been a really hard start to the year. It definitely has. This is my third week going back. But it will get easier, right? We have to just believe it. If we don't, I feel like we're losing hope and we're kind of digging our graves at that point. But we have to believe that there will be a day that it will get better. So, hey guys, time to teach. I see you up in there. Lola, I see you, girl. Joanna, Alexis, so many of you who are always into the chat. It's been so nice to see you. G-Rod, it's so good to see you in the chat. So, here's the thing. I'm going to do a little catch me up, okay? So you guys know that I love planners. I've always loved planners. In fact, I launched the Lettered Classroom YouTube channel with a planner. I did a paper planner video, and that was just always my thing. I have always been in the planner community. Did you know that there's like an entire planner community out there that you can just chat with and see what they're doing? And it's not teachers or just teachers. It's like a bunch of ladies who just love to plan and have a ton of planners. And so I basically launched this channel with a planner. And that really transitioned over the years. And when I moved to Pennsylvania and I had to go into the whole world of like one-to-one, I explored digital planning. And so I came out with a digital planner, and I've been doing that, I would say, the past 3 or 4 years? Maybe the past 3 or 4 years I've been launching a digital planner. And I have to be totally honest with you guys. At the start of this year, I didn't want to do the digital planner anymore. I just felt like my heart was just not in it. I didn't feel as excited about it anymore. I was so much more excited about bridging literacy. And I knew that my business, what I do here, is a business. And so I knew that this business was starting to shift, and it was shifting for the better because it was leading me into something that I'm incredibly passionate about, which is bridging literacy. And so I was like, I can't do both. I can't try to manage a planner, keep doing all of these different planners. I just can't end up doing it. So my plan was to just completely do it as like a lifetime update. Trent was going to help me like update the dates, and then that's where we were going to kind of end it. And so I launched it. I launched it as a lifetime planner. And that was back in March, April? March, April is when we kind of decided that. And then it was towards the very end of July. I remember going on a trip, on a vacation with my family. And I was taking about a week off from everything. And I remember chatting with Michelle like in the car, and I was listening to this audiobook, and the audiobook was basically a business audiobook, and it was talking about how, we have shiny objects, and we're like, ooh, this is awesome, and I want to do this now, and I want to do this now, and it's like all the things, but you have to be really focused in your business to be able to make sure that you're giving it the attention that it needs to have, right, that it deserves. And so I called Michelle, and I was like, listen, I have this crazy idea. I just want to throw it out there, throw it right back like she always tells me, and we're going to see where it goes. And I said, I don't want to do this planner. I can't do the planner by myself anymore because it's just so much work to maintain, to keep up, to market, to promote, all of the things. I just can't do it. I said, what if? And it didn't really align with what I wanted to do in my business anymore, right? It didn't align with bridging literacy. And so I told her, I said, what if, because it does align with Teaching on the Double, which is the company that Michelle and I run together. So we have a podcast, Teaching to the Top, and we run Teaching on the Double together. And so I said, what if I just moved it over, and I said, this was no longer part of my business, and now it's you and I, and we can kind of tweak it. We can make it us versus just me, and make it even better. And then that way I have her help to be able to do some of the pieces, and I'm not all by myself, which then allowed us to be able to launch it as a Google planner as well, like a Google Slides. Like we were able to do 6 different versions where I normally only do 1, which is really, really crazy. But it really worked out. And so now that planner has been transitioned to Teaching on the Double as the company Teaching on the Double planner. So now digital planners won't be sold under the Lettered Classroom. It's going to be sold strictly under Teaching on the Double. And guys, I think combining our 2 little forces, she is a creative genius when it comes to just design, and I put in some of my input of what I wanted it to be, but I just couldn't take the time to do it. I didn't want to have the backgrounds. I wanted to have different orientation views for people who have iPads, and you're going to see in just a second. So I had all these different ideas that I told her that I wanted to do. I just didn't have the time to do it. So it's crazy when we put our brains together and our creative geniuses together. It's something that I could not be more pleased with. So you guys are going to see me plan with that throughout this process today. But I have to tell you guys, I feel as though once I did this, I will say, I know some of you are probably thinking, dang it, I bought this planner thinking that I was going to have lifetime updates. And I totally understand. And I think things happen in businesses, and all I can say is I'm sorry, but here's what I am going to do. We're going to update that planner for those who've sold it. It's not on our website anymore, so you can't even see it. But for those who have purchased that planner back in March, April, whenever, we are still going to update it for another year, and then we're going to give you a blank template so that you can make it your own if that's the one that you choose to do. But all the other planners, the ones that I do with Michelle, are going to be located on Teaching on the Double. So you can go to teachingonthedouble.com/store to be able to see all of those products there. So, and speak of the devil, there she is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. What is she doing? We have a baby together. Girl, we did. We have a total baby together. Who would have thunk it? It's great. I love it. Look at her. She's already putting that website in there. I love her. Okay, so, oh my gosh, I gotta see, I feel like I'm down here like this. I need to just pick my phone up so I can look at you guys. First year teaching, it's the most difficult thing I've ever done. Absolutely. But you know what? I can tell you this, and I think I pronounce your name Cassie. But if I will tell you this, that if you can do this, you will be able to do anything. You really will. And I know it's going to be a difficult year, but it's going to make you a very strong teacher. It's going to make you, I think, even appreciate things when everything starts to hopefully get back to normal. I'm going to cross my fingers on that, but it will definitely make you stronger. So just look up. I promise you it does get better. Yep, and I completely agree, leaving the classroom in tears as well, because I feel like that's something that I did multiple times. I was recording podcasts with Michelle earlier today, and one of the things that we were talking about was just some of the things that were really difficult for us. And I'll tell you guys that one of the stories that I tell is about seeing my kids outside playing, and we can only play with our cohort. So it's like my class that's out in the playground. And I remember like throwing out a soccer ball, and I had the first day, it was like 3 or 4 kids playing out in the field with the soccer ball. And then about half of my class decided to go and play, and they all like started this big like soccer, like just game. And I remember like sitting, and I had kind of my arms down on my legs, and I was just kind of watching them, and I teared up really bad. And I was like, this sucks. Like having to watch these kids have the time of their life. And in a minute, I'm going to have to tell them that they have to social distance because they're not doing it. It sucks. And it is a horrible feeling. And I sat there and I was just like, I don't like this at all. I don't like it. So I get you. I totally do. Okay, where are we at? Oh my gosh, so many people in the chat. I'm doing my best online teaching to make it worse. The office copier printer ran out of ink for students who received packets. I broke down and cried today because of it. What to do? I think at the end of the day, you just have to kind of think of the positive things. There are things that are gonna screw up. There are things that are not gonna go the way that you want it. I had an entire day where it was the most chaotic day ever. And I feel like at the end of it, all I could do is just really laugh it off, because I felt like at any moment I was gonna break down and never wanna come back ever again. So I totally understand you. Okay, so I think that was really all I had to tell them, right? Okay, you guys ready? We're gonna get ready and we're gonna start doing some digital planning. Here we go. How exciting. Look at us, guys. We're digital planning. Isn't this cool? Oh, I love it. Okay, so right now you're seeing my iPad, and I told you that we're going to be doing some planning. So I'm going to show you the planner that I use. And like I mentioned, this is Michelle and I's planner. And I use GoodNotes 5, okay? It's just a PDF annotation app. There's Notability, there's Exodio, but I prefer GoodNotes. And it's actually interesting because I will use GoodNotes for like all of my personal stuff. But I have Notability, and I use Notability when I'm with my students. So any like anchor charts, resources, materials, lessons, to that extent, I use it on Notability because that's the app that they use in class. So here's the planner. Isn't it lovely? Right? Michelle designed the cover, guys. It looks beautiful. Give her some kudos on that. And we're going to kind of swipe through and look at it. So I mentioned earlier that we have some different layouts. So what you're seeing here is the portrait orientation. And so that means that I have my iPad like this. And it's because when I walk around, this is how I like to write. I don't typically like to have it landscape because it's just too long. I have a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, so it tends to get really big. So it just makes it easier for me to have it in a portrait view. And this was one of the things that I really, really wanted. So very excited about this. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire planner, so we're only going to be doing a plan with me. Michelle and I actually have videos coming out next weekend. And a fun fact, she's still in there, she is. So fun fact, I am throwing Michelle a bridal shower on Saturday, which is very exciting. I hope she likes it. If not, I will probably cry and it'll be horrible. But I'm gonna be throwing Michelle a bridal shower on Saturday with just a very, very small, like little group of people. We will all social distance. We will all do all of the things, but it's gonna be a really nice just day to celebrate her and Billy just getting married in October. And so I'm throwing that on Saturday, and I'm not going to be doing a live on Sunday because on Sunday, Michelle and I are going to have a video that comes out. She has one that's going to be all on the Google Slides format of the planner, and she's going to talk you through what that planner looks like, how to use it, the dates, and so on and so forth. And then my video is going to be strictly on the iPad version. So if you want to know about all the little details of the planner and go into all of the different templates, that video on Sunday is going to be the one that you want to watch, okay? This one here, we are only going to be doing a plan with me. So I will show you though, as I kind of go through this, how I plan. So up here in the very top, there is a little pencil with a little lasso around it, and then it has a line. This is GoodNotes, did you mention? Yeah, I did mention it's GoodNotes. And so in order for the links to work, because this is a planner that has links working, in GoodNotes, you have to have the bar with all of the writing tools that has to be gone. So like right now, if I was to touch on anything, all you see are black marks. That's because I'm in the writing mode. But once I hit on that and that little bar goes away, I hit on the pen tool, then I can go to any of my months. So now I'm in September. And the only thing that I really have going on in September is this weekend I have an Act 80 day, or this Friday I have an Act 80 day. And what that means in the state of Pennsylvania is that it's a half day. So students are only going to be there in the morning, and then I have professional development in the afternoon. So that's really the only thing that I have to kind of think of as I go through and plan. And then along the side, you're going to notice there's some weeks. You have week 1, 2, well, I kind of added the week numbers there. So I'm in week 3. I can click on week 3 and it'll, well, yeah, I'm in week 4. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm in week 4. This is my 3rd full week, but it's the 4th week of school. So I'm in week 4 for teaching, and then I've already gone ahead and I've already set up the planner and what it's supposed to look like. I have gone back and forth between using text like this and using bars. It really depends on my mood, to be honest. Sometimes I just type it all out. Sometimes I write it. It really just depends on the mood. Now, some of you are probably asking, how in the world do I get those colored bars? Well, fun fact, Michelle and I are actually going to have some different stickers that are going to be available for all of you guys with these pieces so that you can put them into your planner. So just kind of be on the lookout for some of those. We've been testing some of them out and trying them out before we go ahead and put it into our store. But this is kind of us like testing the waters. Is that the way we want to word it? Testing the waters. It's really hot in here. Super hot. Why is it so hot in here, guys? Okay, so here's what I have. My schedule, guys, is really, really crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I have an hour for ELA. I have an hour for math. I have 30 minutes for content, and then I have 30 minutes for this, what I call win time. What I need is win. And the reason why I have a win time is because of some of the things that I'm putting into place for ELA and for math. The kids may not have enough time to finish everything. So I've pulled in a win time to allow students to be able to kind of work on whatever it is that they need. So let's say they were having a really difficult concept in math, they can continue that and continue working on that during their win time. Or let's say we didn't quite finish something in ELA, they can finish it during that win time. So that's kind of why I have that block in there. Morning meeting is legit like the quickest morning meeting I've probably ever done in my entire life because it's maybe about 10 to 15 minutes long, and that's really about it. And it looks very different this year because of us practicing social distancing. The kids can't get up out of their desks or at least walk around the room. I have them get up. We do some different activities as they're standing at their desk, but they can't walk around the room. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling things in, but I really want to know super quick. I want to know, are you someone who plans like for the entire day, or do you plan all the subjects? Can you guys put that in the comment box, chat box? It's a live chat. Goodness gracious, chat box. Are you a one day at a time planner or like a subject for the week planner? I'm just curious. I'm going to grab another sip of my drink as you guys are putting that into the chat. Subject for the by the week. Okay. All right. So I personally will do it by subjects. Once I kind of get myself into the flow, I go all the way across. So that's what we're going to do today, okay? So I'm going to go through my arrival, and I just want to share my arrival. I kind of have to write some of these things down, mainly because they're so new to me. If I don't do it, I will forget. And so I'm trying to get myself into the habit of doing these things every single day because it's just new procedures, new stuff, right? So arrival, every day, one of the things that I will have my kids do is I'm going to do the lunch / am I okay over there? Yeah, breakfast count. Okay, so I have a lunch and breakfast count that we have to do, and I will do that as kids are coming into the classroom. The next thing that I'm going to have them, that I need to do is I need to remember to put my folder out. Guys, I've been so bad about this. Normally, we have an office folder, but in the past, the kids would take the office folder down, and I like assigned 2 or 3 kids that at the very beginning of the year. And I kind of gave them like who's the hierarchy of who gets to take it, but then I never had to think about it ever again because those kids were so good about just taking the office folder for me. Well, now I have to stick it on the outside of my door, and I keep forgetting. And so bless the assistants coming in, and they're like, do you have your office folder? Yeah, just keep forgetting to put it in there. So sorry about that. And then the last thing, and this is going to be something that's very new this week. So last week we introduced something called Mountain Math and Target the Question. Give me a little bit of a thumbs up if you use either one of those. So Mountain Math is something that spirals. So they're taking math skills that they learn all year, and it just spirals. So they have to practice those math skills every single week. And then Target the Question is a word problem that they have a part of that, like they have a question for that word problem every single day of the week. So starting tomorrow, the kids are going to do mountain math in the morning for morning work. Okay, now this is the same all week. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is that there's a little lasso tool up here. I need to make sure I have my images turned off, and I'm going to turn off. So all I want to do is have my handwriting. So I'm going to lasso this, and I'm going to hit copy. And then we're going to paste it all across. So then that way, I don't have to rewrite stuff, which is super nice. And we have this one too. Okay. So there's my arrival for the entire week. I just need to make sure that I have their mountain math posted into Schoology, which I definitely will get that posted probably tomorrow morning because I get there incredibly early, like really, really early. Okay, let's chat morning meeting really fast. So this year I've been trying something a little bit different, and I've been reading a picture book a day. And now I need to do a post, and I'll probably do it within the next couple of days of all of the picture books that I've read so far. But they've been loving it so far, and it's been a really nice transition. I think I have to kind of figure out how to build in an activity there, but it's such a short morning meeting time because of our schedule. We go to recess, our first recess, right after morning meeting, that it doesn't quite work out for us. So I literally at 9 o'clock, the announcements come on, we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I show them the announcement video for my principal, I read a picture book, we line up, we go outside. That's literally my morning. It's incredibly early, but it's nice and cool and crisp, and you're not as hot and sweaty, so I'm okay with it. So this morning, in the mornings, I need to figure out the books that I'm reading. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put picture book of the day. So we talk about theme, we talk about the genre of it because I want my kids getting used to genre and theme. In 7th grade, in 6th grade, I start to kind of front load this a little bit, but I know in 7th grade when they go to the middle school, they get hit really, really hard when it comes to theme TDAs. So it's really important my kids understand theme and they have that down pat. So that's one of the things that I really wanted to start nailing down now so that as we start getting into 6th grade, they're able to write some of those text-dependent analysis responses when it comes to identifying the theme and identifying the evidence to support that theme. So much, so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just write a line just to remind myself. And I just use the shape tool and I can draw a line and it'll make it nice and straight. That way I remember, but I can also, which I think I am going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of color here. What? Bridget likes color? I know, guys. I can't believe it either. I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of color right there. That way I know I need to select my picture books for the day. I think at 1, I don't know if I have it here, but I'm going to have to look for sure. Michelle was telling me that she was going to probably do Interrupting Chicken. I don't even know if she's still in there. She is. She was telling me she was going to do Interrupting Chicken. I know I have that book. I know that I have the book. So I'm going to have to figure out where it's at, and I will definitely do Interrupting Chicken. Although my kids are not very chatty this week or this year. So all my chatters went virtual. Bless the virtual teachers. Okay, so there I have it. I just know that I need to go ahead and place in my picture books. Now, let's chat for a little bit about ELA. So ELA, I want to kind of transition for a second and show you guys my slides. So in here, I did a mini series for Bridging Literacy, and I talked about some of the things that I like to do at the very beginning of the school year in order to establish my ELA block. And so I came out with the first 10 days of ELA workshop, and these are kind of the plans that I will put into place to start teaching some of those skills, the strategies, the technology, all of the little pieces that I feel like are really important before I jump into Bridging Literacy curriculum. And so this past few days, we've actually done day 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was a 4-day week last week, so I was only able to do 4. Now, if you're curious, I think Trent has already put this down in the chat. The first 10 days of ELA is actually free only during this chat, only during the live chat. Once it becomes a replay, the freebie goes away. So it's to incentivize people to come and join the chat. So we're going to go ahead. He's going to put the link into the chat in just a little bit. So that way, if you want to get the first 10 days of ELA lesson plans, you can go ahead and get that for free. Okay, so I have the plans kind of done. Although we're going to kind of do a little bit of back and forth in just a little bit. So I'll show you that in just a second. I need to kind of look over the plans, and I'm going to go, can I do a weird split screen with this? If it's like this. Yeah. All right. I sure can. Here we go. So here's what I want to do. I really just want to take my objective, what is it that I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to just write it down. The only other things that I really need to do is go through the books and make sure that I have my talking points ready to go for the lesson themselves. So in my planner, I'm going to go ahead and write, and I feel like I have to like tilt my planner like the complete opposite direction. It's very odd how I write. Okay. So the objective for Monday is we're going to talk about making predictions and inferences and the difference between the two. Now, I have 5th graders, so they've already been introduced to predictions and inferences. In fact, we've already kind of started like talking about them a little bit. So we're going to say here, differences between a prediction and, I forgot how to spell prediction, and inference. Okay? Now I know for a fact, and I will kind of go through the I can statement. I always establish my learning target at the very beginning. This goes back to me talking about how, depending on where you are as a teacher, would depend on how much information you need to give, right? So in the very beginning, when I first started teaching, I absolutely needed to write out, make sure to talk about the learning target, make sure to do this, do this, do this. But now I kind of already have my flow down. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing as I'm teaching. So I'm just going to talk you guys through that, but I won't write it all down. So the very first thing that we do is the kids will sit down. I will go ahead and establish the learning target. And once I do that, then I'm going to introduce to them the text. And so we're going to read through, and the book is called Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. And so once in just a second, we're going to switch views in a little bit, but just not quite yet. And we're going to talk about predictions. We're going to talk about inferences. In a second, I'm going to have to figure out which predictions and inferences I want to have. And then we're going to go through, and the kids are going to practice. So the only other thing that I need to make sure that I have is I need to make sure that I have my prediction and inference graphic organizer. Once I do that, the kids are going to independent practice, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how writers actually use inferences as a writing tool in order to be able to develop those interesting stories. So this is talking about those show versus tell sentences. Now, I did a post earlier this week, and I am going to go ahead and show it to you guys, but we use something called Book Creator in my class, it's a wrong view. Oh, it shows it to them in the right way, but it doesn't show it to me that way. Did I move it? I did. I moved my picture. So, right? It shows it in a different view, doesn't it, for them?
Because you turned
it kind of moves it. Either way, it's all right. I'm going to move it back. So all I do is we created a little book creator for our stories, our writer's notebook, so that the kids would always be able to have it. And so they already started picking out their story and kind of brainstorming what their story was about. So tomorrow they're going to start writing, but we're going to talk about show versus tell sentences. So as I start to write the story of Walter Meets a Chicken, it was their idea, not mine. It was a time of when Walter started chasing a chicken while we were at the farm. It was really hilarious. In my head, I was thinking he is having the best time of his life because his tongue was all hanging out. He was like doing long strides. It was really cute. But I'm going to show them how to create those show versus tell sentences within their writer's notebook. Okay, let's go back to what we're talking about here. So that's when I'm going to do that lesson. So they will do independent practice for reading, and then I'm going to come back and connect to writing. I have to be totally honest, guys. These lessons that I'm doing right here, where they have reading and writing, it's separated at the moment, but I'm talking about the connections while I'm teaching them two separate, because I'm essentially doing two separate mini lessons. It's hard for me to fit in an hour. It's very, very hard, which is why I'm incredibly excited to be able to pull Bridging Literacy in this year, because Bridging Literacy is one mini lesson to teach everything versus me having to figure out how in the world am I going to fit 2 mini lessons in, because I can't. So I'll be very excited once I start to get past this and I start to transition. But this is where I'm just going to utilize that win time, and kids are going to be able to finish ELA if they need to finish ELA. Okay, so there's my ELA block for that. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to quickly go through all of the other days just so that I have them kind of down. So What's actually funny, I just remembered, on Tuesday, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any of my lessons. On Tuesday, we are actually having to do the SRI.
So to double check, this is 5th grade, right?
Correct.
And so you have an assignment each day for reading and writing?
Kind of. I don't have them turn both of them in. I don't have the time for that right now. I literally have 1 hour, so I'm having to pick and choose. And so right now I'm choosing the reading pieces instead of the writing pieces. Most likely what I'll end up doing is, because the kids are using the book creator as their writer's notebook, at the end of these 10 days, I'm going to have them submit that book creator to me as just one overarching score, versus me having them do that every single day, because it's just, I don't have enough time. Like, my schedule is just bonkers. There's no way I can fit it all in. I'm not going to stress these kids out over it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense for me to do that. So I'm only having them turn in the reading portion, the reading graphic organizers. At the end of the 10 days, I'm going to have them submit their digital writer's notebook. And that's going to have to be what I do. And then after I finish these 10 days, I'm going to start with Unit 1 of Bridging Literacy. That's the game plan.
Do you have to turn in your lesson plans?
No. I don't even think we have to really write lesson plans. I know, I'm lucky. I know you guys are saying it. It's true. So I can't do anything on Tuesday because I'm doing the SRI, which will pretty much take that entire time. So that means on Wednesday is when I'm going to be able to do my day 6. The day 6 is going to be, so here's my objective. Oh, we're going to do the visualize. Guys, I love visualize lessons. Oh, they're my favorite. So I'm going to do the visualize lesson. We're going to read the Seashore book. And with the Seashore book, I'm going to talk about getting them to visualize certain pieces. So I want to have their visualize graphic organizer. I'm just going to say organizer there. And then I'm also going to go ahead and have a specific text for them to do. And I like to use Honey, I Love. It's a poem. It's phenomenal. I love it. I love teaching that one for visualize. So that's the one that all students are going to be able to use that day. They're going to visualize with that particular poem. I don't necessarily always give them something very specific to read, but in this case I will. In the past, we've only been using our independent text. So on Monday, when they go to make predictions and inferences, they're going to do that with their independent text and turn in that graphic organizer. So we'll do the visualize with Honey, I Love. And then with that, we're going to continue talking about show versus tell sentences and getting students to be able to write in greater detail. So I'm going to do this as practice here. I'm going to say practice. And then show versus tell sentences here. And then they're going to be able to write there for their descriptive writing, and they can have time at the end of the day during win time to be able to submit that if they don't finish it. Okay. So I have two more days left, and I have way more than 2 more days left in my 10-day plans. So here's the thing. I'm going to have to kind of pick and choose which ones I'm going to use and which ones I'm not going to use, because I have 4, right? Yeah, I have 4 days left in the 10-day plans. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not going to try to pull it into the next week. I'm not going to do it. Now, if you feel like you don't really know your kids very well, I would stick with the 10 days and just live by it. But I know my kids very well. I've had them already for a year. I've kind of experienced what they're capable of doing. So I am just going to drop 2 of the lessons. So I need to decide which of the lessons I want to drop. So here's this one. I Love Saturdays y Domingos is going to be about, what's my objective? Determine the importance of information. That's really important in 5th grade. So I might want to keep that one. This one is going to be synthesizing information to develop a general idea. summarize, and then reflect. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm just going to do days 7 and 8. I'm going to drop the summarize because I know what my kids can do with summarizing. I can just go back into their past portfolios and just look at what they've done last year just to refresh my memory. And then reflecting, we've already been doing a lot of reflecting for the week. And I will most likely just pull that into maybe like a closing time during either win or during content and just have them reflect during that time. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and finish planning these ELA times. So Thursday, I said that I was going to go ahead and do determine the importance. And remember, guys, that when I'm doing this, these are introductions, right? I'm just introducing this to them. We've been talking a lot about the differences between skills versus strategies. And so what we're talking as I'm teaching, and one of the things that I did this past week is we did a lot of the stop and think strategy. And so we were talking about how we were working on this skill, but in order to do this skill, one of the strategies that we were using is to stop and think. And I actually used those hand motions because I wanted them to get used to it. And I swear, guys, I did that for every page that I finished reading. After I read a page, I said, all right, guys, now I'm gonna, and they would say stop and think, and they would do the motion with them. Or with me, and then that way they kind of got into the habit of it because I need them to get into that habit of stopping and thinking as we're reading. So remember, these are just introduction skills. These are not going to be something that I'm going to say, oh, you're horrible at this. I just want to get a general idea of where these kids are so that when I jump into the curriculum, I know exactly where I need to accommodate, where I need to provide differentiation, or maybe even some extension activities if I have kids who need that extension activity. So determine the importance. Are you watching the chat for me? So that I'm not missing anything. And then I'm going to read I love Saturdays y domingos. I have quite a few Spanish-speaking kids in my class, so they're going to really appreciate this book. So we're going to do an importance graphic organizer. And in writing, it says, inform learners that that they have to decide what is important and what needs to be cut out. So it's giving a gist of events, allowing the reader to use the imagination, or giving every single detail if it's possible. Learners will practice this independently while writing this. So writing lesson. Okay.
So there was a question about, will the 10 days of ELA workshop work for first grade? So I think that explaining how this is in bridging literacy, right?
Yeah.
So about for upper grades, and then I think someone asked about, second grade.
So these 10 days of lessons, you could adjust it for first, second, or upper grades. If it's upper grades, I would try to pull in, a lot of the times these kids just don't even remember some of the skills and strategies. So you can absolutely probably use it exactly the way it is. And you can adjust it for first, second grade. I taught visualizing. I taught what is important and what's not important with those kiddos, but it was more scaffolded, right? It was me providing more assistance than what I would right now. So it's kind of adjusting that based on your kiddos and what grade level you're teaching. But you want to have some sort of establishing your readers and writers workshop in the very beginning. And that's really important to making sure that the kids have the routines, the procedures, the systems. They know like the general flow of what's going to be happening before you jump into like true full-blown curriculum mode. So I think you could use it. You just have to be careful in What are some of the graphic organizers you have them doing? Are you just going to provide them with sticky notes and have kids be able to share? And I think that's completely okay. You're just wanting to kind of get a gauge on where your kids are so that you can adjust your curriculum where it needs to be. Make sense? Okay. So this Friday, I will then do the synthesizing information. And this is really important, especially as they get closer to 6th grade. They're going to have to synthesize information big time. And one of the ways that I like to be able to teach synthesizing information is with genres. So this day, they're actually not going to have a picture book that we're going to be reading. Instead, we're going to talk about some genre cards that they have worked on in the past. So we actually did it not last week, but the week before that. We worked a lot with genres, and my kids still need some practice because some of the things that they were submitting, they still needed a little extra help. So this is going to be a nice review lesson on genres, and it's going to help them start thinking a little bit deeper about them. So with the genre task cards, I'm actually going to give them a specific genre. So it's going to be task cards that are all the same from that genre. But they're going to have to find bits and pieces of evidence that are the same from each one, from each of the different stories. And they're going to have to put it together. Now, if I had the ability, guys, I would have done this with picture books. I'll be honest with you. I would not have done it with genre task cards. Unfortunately, I don't have enough picture books to be able to give one to each of the kids because we can't work in groups. So with that said, I'm just going to do task cards this year. I would have normally liked to have done it with picture books. And the kids are going to have to find information, and they're basically going to put it together and say, well, this happened in all of these, and this happens in this, and this happens. They're pulling that information together to be able to kind of create that generalization of here's what this genre is. So we're going to use task cards. They're going to have a synthesize graphic organizer. And for writing, it says, discuss with learners that much of the year will be spent synthesizing. Okay, so here's the other thing that I really want you to note. If you're looking at the writing from this day, it's not specifically like a free write, okay? Sometimes writing is going to be a TDA. Sometimes writing is going to be something that you have read about and now you're going to write about that reading that you've done. And that's totally fine. Not every single writing piece has to be a personal narrative or creative narrative. It doesn't have to be that way. The purpose of writing is to be able to get students to be able to think and organize their thinking in a coherent method and to be able to put it on paper, right? We want to be able to understand what they're thinking on paper. So this day is literally going to be that they're going to use the graphic organizer, and then we're going to model how to write. Model how to write, and they're going to complete a discussion board. They're going to do a discussion board that day. Now, I'm going to be very honest. So that day is going to be a really heavy day in ELA. And I have a half day. I get an hour for ELA. I get an hour for math. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm not going to do no new math lesson. So we're going to work on our IXL diagnostic that day and make sure that they get their TTQ and mountain math, so I do MM for mountain math, submitted. Okay? All right. So the other thing that I have for this week is going to be figuring out my math block. So I teach 5th grade math and here, because the kids are going to be doing their mountain math in the morning, I'm going to first start, we always do this every single day. We do Reflex green light because my sweet kiddos do not know their math facts. They do not know them fast enough. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to write TTQ, whole group, obviously whole group because I can't teach any other way, but then I'm going to review mountain math. But when I review mountain math, I'm only going to give them the answers, and I'm going to ask kids if they want me to solve a problem, but I'm not going to like walk them through every single bit, right? I just want them to check their answers. We're going to solve it. If they have any kids solve it, then I will solve it there. So I'm going to go ahead and lasso this, and I'm going to copy it because this is the same every single day. Woo! I made that size different, didn't I? Okay, now the other thing that I'm going to have to do is for this day in math, and this might actually take a couple of days, but we're going to go ahead and do our place value assessment. Place value pre.
What is Reflex Green Light?
So Reflex is a software, I guess, app. It's not really an app, it's a website. It's a website that allows you, that has the kids do their facts. So you can do addition, subtraction, but I have them down as a multiplication, division. So it's just like a game where they do multiplication and addition, and they have to get to green light. And green light means that they've practiced, you know, they've reached a certain percentage essentially within that amount of time. So once they reach that percentage, it gives them a green light, and then they can stop at that point. So it just helps them be able to practice their math facts on a daily basis. So I mentioned that we're going to have them do their place value pre-assessment. I'm going to go ahead and copy that because I anticipate that taking a couple of days. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and at that point, maybe even on Tuesday, I'm going to have the kids work on the vocabulary. And once we do the vocabulary, then I'm going to start with lesson PV 2.1. Lesson PV 2.2. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about when it comes to that. So let's get into my Schoology. So this is my LMS system. This is what I use to be able to communicate with my students. So I'm going to go into here. Let's go into Learners, Math Workshop, and here's Place Value. So my Place Value is already organized to where I have all of my different skills. The first skill is the pre-assessment and vocabulary. So once we finish pre-assessment and vocabulary, then after that, they go into skill 2. So skill 2 is going to be us reviewing whole numbers. And then skill 3 is going to be them going into introduction to decimals. So I actually need to change that. I don't know why I wrote 2.1, 2.2. So PV lesson 2. Why did I do lesson? Guys, I'm getting myself confused here. Skill 2. Holy moly. Skill 3. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that and see where we are. So it's a good way to just end the week as an introduction into decimals, and then we should be good to go at that point. Okay, so the win time, I don't really plan anything for a win because they kind of carry over from ELA and for math. And so I just give them a review of here's kind of what we did during ELA during math. You need to go ahead and decide what you need to be focusing on. And I typically will walk around and type and just make sure that students are on what they need to be doing. So I will go up to, you know, Johnny and say, hey, Johnny, remember I need you to be working on this. You didn't really finish that during ELA class. That's what I need you to take out right now. And so they'll take that piece of it out. So that's really about it. I'll be totally honest with you guys. Content, I have really no idea where I'm going to go with this. I will say, that's horrible for me to say that, but it's the truth. I'm not starting content this week. It's just not going to happen. On tomorrow, what I need to do is we're going to talk about sending an email. So we're going to talk about email etiquette, and then we're going to practice another Zoom and another breakouts piece. For the rest of the week, I honestly have no idea. I'm a last minute person. I'm last minute Nancy, I feel like half the time, and that's just the way I roll. I think for the most part, I may end up doing some different STEM activities that I'll just find one where we're going to talk about observations. Typically, I'll start to lead into let's talk about how to have a thorough observations, especially because this year we're going into earth sciences, and so we're going to be doing a lot of things with plants. And I really like for kids to have like an observation journal. So we might end up setting up an observation journal this week, and doing some little fun activities where they have to make observations. Things with like dye and, with soap and water and all of those little types of activities that allows them to draw out what they were thinking and to write their observations down. So I just need to come up with all of the different activities. But that's what we'll focus on for the week. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Everybody feeling good? I think everybody's good. Is everybody good?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to switch our view around a little bit. And instead of going into planner mode, we're now going to do book mode. So one of the things that I really want to focus on is making sure that I have everything planned out for these books. So on Monday, if you remember, I said I was going to read Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, which is this book here. And on this day, we're going to talk about predictions and inferences. So I want to make sure that when I'm modeling, I have my predictions and my inferences down. So I want to be able to have those with a sticky note so that as I'm reading it, I know where I'm going. So I'm going to kind of look through this book here. So I have Sylvester Duncan lived with his mother, and they were collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. Not really much going on there. So on a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found quite an extraordinary one. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round like a marble. So here is where it starts to rain, and he says, man, I wish it would stop raining. And then all of a sudden it stopped raining, and he has that special marble in his hand. It's a good point for us to be able to make an inference, right? So here's an inference. The pebble is magical, right? Okay, so that's one of the first things that I'm going to actually talk about. Then as I go along, in his young life, he never had a wish gratified so quickly. It struck to him that it must be magic, and then he guessed that the magic would be in a remarkable looking red pebble. Okay, nothing happened, but when he said the same thing holding the pebble, the sky turned black and there was lightning. What a lucky day this is, thought Sylvester. From now on, I can have anything I want. So here's where I'm going to be able to make a prediction. So Sylvester, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Maybe you can help me chime in here. The word where you take something, you overuse it. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Abuse.
Okay, that's good.
Sure, I wasn't listening. I was too busy being the hero of the tech department.
Well, he's gonna abuse the pebble, right? Like I think he's gonna become greedy, I think is what I wanted to say. I think he's just going to end up becoming greedy, and it's a good way to be able to do a prediction. So we could talk about that part of it. So he was startled to see the mean, hungry lion, and he was frightened. He hadn't been so frightened, he would have made the lion disappear, so he wished himself safe at home and his father and mother. He would have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He would have wished many things, but he panicked and couldn't think carefully. I wish I were a rock, he said, and he became a rock. Oh, sad. Now he doesn't have the pebble. He can't hold it. So here, I'm going to do another prediction. So Sylvester is stuck as a rock. Okay, so, and there was Sylvester, a rock at a strawberry hill with magical pebble lying right beside him on the ground, and he was unable to pick it up. Oh, how I wish I were myself again, he thought, but nothing happened. And so, I'm just kind of looking through some of these. And guys, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm going to do this for all of them, but I'm just kind of showing you what I would do right before I would teach this lesson, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to read all these books with you. You would hate this. Absolutely hate it. Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor frantic with worry. Sylvester had never come home late that dinner. Where would he be? They stayed up. I will never scold Sylvester again as long as I live. Aww. At dawn, they went about inquiring with all the neighbors. So I need to find another inference in here somewhere. They talked to all the children, the puppies, the kittens, colts, and piglets. No one had ever seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday. He went to the police. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I think, and I know I can find it, I think I just don't really, I had plans to sit here with all of this, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing that. Do you agree?
Agreed.
Huh?
Agreed.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm curious, like, do you guys enjoy that? Do you enjoy going through a picture book with someone to, like, find all of the different bits and pieces? I'm just curious, but I feel as though if I was to sit here and continue doing what I'm doing, you would be bored out of your minds. So I know for a fact that this has some other inferences, but a lot of the times I'll be very truthful with you. It takes me about 2 or 3 different reads to have all of the different parts down and find all of the different pieces, because I kind of do one first read, I do a second read, and I find little bits and pieces. It's almost as if every time you read it, you discover something new about the book. So I have to kind of pull all of those pieces together. Okay, so maybe I can do that one day. Maybe I'll do that with you guys one day. If that's something that you really enjoy and you want to kind of go through a picture book together, we can definitely do that. But specifically looking at a skill, right? So I want to take a specific skill. Like right now I'm doing inferences and predictions, and maybe we can go through like looking for the inferences and the predictions to be able to identify all of those elements within here so that we have really good teaching points and we can scaffold that instruction a little bit better. So I would do the same. I'm going to do that with this one for that piece. And then there is the I Love Saturdays and Domingos, which I'm going to do on the importance, like which one is important. So what information is important, what information is not important. And what's nice is that this book has a lot of information because she kind of goes back and forth between the 2 grandparents. The one grandparents are American and the other are, well, they're white American, and then the other are Hispanic. So she talks about just the differences between them when she goes and visits each of the her grandparents. So we're going to kind of pull information out that we feel as though is really important and the information that we don't feel as important. And this is chocked full of information. So the kids are going to want to say everything. So we're going to identify what is and what isn't. And then finally, this one, which is a newer one that I got. It's the Seashore book, and it's really good for visualizing. Now, it'll be, when I do this one, I'm actually not going to show the kids the pictures. And I'm doing that deliberately because I don't want them to look at the pictures and then automatically like, here's what the picture shows me. I want to know what they're hearing from the words, the text that I'm reading, that really gets them to visualize in their head. So there's some really, really sweet things. It kind of starts off here. Like, what is the seashore like is what the little boy says. It says, he lived in the mountains and had never seen the sea. His mother smiled. Let's pretend, she said. It's early morning at the seashore, and it's hard to tell where the sea stops and where the sky begins. They are the same smoky gray until the mist shifts from gray to dark white, from dark white to pale purple, from pale purple to hazy blue, and then, suddenly, the sun breaks through. It warms the cool sand, it turns the sea green, and the beach is golden gray. You run down the water's edge, one small dark spot against the brightness of the sand and the sea. So it's really beautiful. I'm going to probably read the first couple of pages and then have kids stop. And typically what I'll do is I will have them shut their eyes and listen to it first. And then I have them open their eyes and then think of some words that they heard to identify. And they'll just kind of create some form of a web. And so they'll find the words and I'll read it again a couple more times for them. So I'll read those pages, the first 2 or 3 pages over and over to get them to draw a picture and to identify the words that really kind of stood out to them. And some of them are going to be inferences and some of them are not. So they kind of have to just kind of really listen carefully. But that's going to be it for the most part. So, all right, going out of that view, here we go. So how did you guys enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? Sometimes I feel really silly when I just do playing with me's. I don't know. I feel silly. Did you guys enjoy that? Was that good? Gosh, guys, the image quality does look great. I am really impressed. Oh, Hamza, how you doing? I love you. Love you. That's my cousin, guys. Say hi to Hamza. He's my cousin from Houston. So good to see you in the chat. Hope you're being good. Good. All right. I'm glad that you guys hopefully found that pretty useful for the most part. I want to thank you for chiming in on this chat. I hope you were to get a little bit of information about the planner. Don't forget that if you want to go and check out the planner, head to teachingonthedouble.com/store. And then if you want to get the first 10 days of the ELA lessons, those are free. It's not going to be free for much longer. I think we usually stop at about, 5 or 10 minutes after the chat's over-ish, somewhere around there. And I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And so I hope that you were able to get a little bit out of this. So this is pretty much how I plan my week. It's really nothing super fancy. Like I said, you really kind of have to base it off of the information that, or where you are in your teaching career, right? How much information do you need to have in order to feel confident going into a lesson? For me, it's going to be more about the sticky notes, more about the things that I place inside of this book than it is going to be off of the lessons, because I know the general flow of how I'm going to scaffold that lesson there. Also, yes, buy an iPad Pro. I'm not going to lie. I was really upset when I had this one. So this is not the newest version. It's the 2nd gen one. And then all of a sudden they came out with the newer one that looks like the new iPhones, but whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm going to be a big girl.
Because I said wait.
I'm going to be a big girl. It's okay, guys. Okay, so the other thing that I do want to mention to you is I talked a little bit about how once the first 10 days is over, I'm going to be jumping into bridging literacy unit plans. So my method of bridging literacy, which is going to help me tremendously, and I think it will really help so many of you, not only helping your students and helping you really understand the connections between reading and writing, but it's also going to really benefit you because it cuts down your mini lesson. So I have one mini lesson that I'm really going to focus on, so that hour is not going to seem as bad once I start jumping into the bridging literacy units, because right now it's pretty tight. So, okay. Anything else? We good? I feel like I missed so much in the chat. I was so busy planning, I didn't get to check out the chat very often. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. It's 8:07. I gotta go to work tomorrow. So I need to get ready for bed. I hope that you guys enjoyed this live chat. Thank you so much, as always, for joining in on the Sunday lives. I know that it's taking away from your time with doing things that you love, spending time with your family. So I really, truly do appreciate the time that we have together and for you to take out a little snippet of your day to spend it with me. So I appreciate you all. Please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. No thumbs down. Don't do a thumbs down. Did we get any thumbs down yet?
One.
One? People gonna hate. That's okay. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Show some love towards it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Remember, I am not going to be live next week. I'm going to be spending some time with Michelle, getting her bridal shower together. And then my mom's coming to visit for Ian's birthday on the 22nd. So she's actually going to be here the Sunday. So I have Michelle and I have my mom here to be able to spend. I have a 14-year-old. We have a 14-year-old.
Oh, man.
How did this happen?
Yes, we got another thumbs down.
Why y'all so mean?
It's still activity. We take any activity.
All right. So, either way, guys, I can't believe I'm about to have a 14-year-old after this week. So, I'm not going to be going live next weekend, but I will be back the next. So, just kind of stick around on Instagram, follow me there, and I will definitely be posting it there, and I'll also post some information over on YouTube. But next weekend, you're going to see a little information about the planner, be able to get into how it's all working. What?
BLC members have the new surveys are on there.
Oh, if you are a Bridging Literacy member, so you're a part of the Bridging Literacy community, we did go ahead and add the surveys, which I don't think were in there. So we went on ahead and added those surveys. You have the reader survey, writer survey, learner survey, and a parent survey that's added in there for back to school time. I typically like to do the reader writer surveys, one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year, because we do a comparison between the two to be able to see where they've grown. So go ahead and check those out if you have not already. Trent did put those into the resource section, so you can grab those.
And the admin one-pager.
Okay. Oh, yes. And we are also working on a one-sheeter to be able to provide a little bit of information about bridging literacy to your administration or to your reading specialist or reading coach, writing coach, whatever you want to call them. And we've added that into the, what is it called?
Research lab, I think.
Research lab. We've added that into the research lab if you guys want to just kind of give it a little peek over. But I think we are going to be finalizing that very, very soon. It should just about be done. But your input is always incredibly helpful in that. So, okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And you'll see me in a video next weekend. Bye.